Good afternoon, everybody. My name is George Joyner. I'm the co-chairman of Putnam Score, and I'll be your host for this webinar today. And I'd like to welcome you all to this presentation. Today, we're going to be discussing the revitalization of your brand and an online presence. Maggie? The organization that's bringing this presentation to you is really a subset of SCORE. We're the Hudson Valley and Greater New York chapters of SCORE. Our goal as an organization is to foster vibrant small businesses, and we do this by providing free mentoring and education. Specifically, we offer confidential business mentoring, webinars and workshops like you're seeing today, and we also have a very, very extensive online educational library, which is available through our www.score.org website. Our client base ranges from pre-startups to established businesses, and the volunteers who work with these businesses bring to bear a huge background in multiple industries and functional areas. And we try and match the experiences of our mentors to the requirements of our clients. Maggie? These are the chapters that we're talking about that are involved in bringing this webinar to you. We are recording this session and we'll be providing the recordings to everybody who's registered, so you don't have to worry about trying to copy down telephone numbers or anything like that. You'll find they'll all be in the packet that you get about this webinar. Maggie? The ground rules of the webinar. Everybody's going to be muted during the presentation, and we ask you if you have any questions, which we'll try and answer either during the presentations or in the Q&A period afterwards. We ask you to enter those questions by using the Q&A function down at the bottom of your screen, not the chat function. And if we don't get to all the questions, you'll have the numbers of the presenters and also the SCORE chapters that you can redirect the questions to them after the webinar. Maggie? On today's webinar, we're going to help you establish and refine your brand, establish its core values and online presence, and learn strategy to jumpstart or revitalize your business. We have three outstanding professionals in the whole field of brand awareness and brand presentation who will share their industry expertise with you. And they're going to give you tips on establishing your mission, your vision, your core values, and your goals. They'll help you figure out how to build a strong brand story, establish yourself as your own brand expert to attract new customers. And finally, we're going to talk about using social media to amplify your brand awareness, to attract, engage, and retain clients. Okay. We have three presenters today. Leading off will be Tina Campbell. Tina is very focused and a project-oriented manager and entrepreneur. She believes in the power of relationships, building bridges to make connections, and she loves to help people use their connection to increase business. Her experience has taught her that building top-of-mind awareness and communicating unique value propositions is a key to a successful local business. The opportunity to speak to customers who want, need, and are able to purchase your products is a goal that just about all of us seek. She helps members achieve this goal through her leadership in the New York, Connecticut region of Master Networks, which is a national networking organization dedicated to the establishment and maintenance of business relationships. She's also the co-founder of Free Enterprise Warriors, which is a business consultancy firm. Welcome, Tina. Our second presenter will be Bob Genovese. He's a brand builder. He's had over 30 years as a designer, having worked in advertising, marketing, and publishing. He launched his business, Unleash My Beast brand, in 2015 as a website and design company. After coming to the realization that logos and websites don't actually help businesses succeed by themselves, that it's the strategy that makes them effective, he evolved his enterprise into a brand strategy company. That's when his clients really started seeing incredible results. Today, Rob's company offers strategy, design, and coaching for businesses looking to level up or scale up to create faster and more efficient growth. He hosts his own YouTube channel, Unleash My Beast brand, where he teaches on the power of branding. And in our anchor position is Maggie Carey. Maggie is the founder and CEO of Master It Media. She's a social media strategist with over 35 years in information technology. Maggie blends her theatrical background with her corporate experience to elevate brands by developing an engaging social media presence to build an audience of raving fans. Maggie's the creator of Painless Posting. That's a social media content subscription service that provides businesses with the ability to create custom branded media posts in less than 5 minutes a day. Maggie was awarded Broadway World's 2020 Regional Performer of the Decade and the Lynn and Buzz Burr Excellence in Communications Award. Maggie's Master It Monday YouTube series provides weekly tips to inform businesses on how to get the most out of social media. So with all this, I'm looking forward to a fabulous hour with you all. Let me turn the podium over to our first speaker we mentioned was Tina Campbell. Tina, you're up.
Thank you. I will share my screen and we'll get this started. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much. Okay, so here we are. I hope everyone's doing well today. I'm really excited to be here. I want to thank the SCORE leadership for this opportunity to share my experience as an entrepreneur and business owner to help you revitalize your brand and online presence. You'll see that each of us, Rob, Maggie, and myself, build on this topic. So, who am I? Why should you listen to me? I know you're all asking that question. So I'm Tina Campbell. I'm the New York and Connecticut regional partner of Master Networks, which is a national networking organization. I'm also the national advisor on culture and retention for them. I grew up on Long Island, New York. I now live in Westchester County. I have 2 daughters and married. I was in corporate America for 35 years, and then I started a company called Free Enterprise Warriors. It's, as I said before, it is a business consultancy. About 7 years ago, I started the New York and Connecticut region of Master Networks. And then with Rob Genovese's help, who's going to be speaking next, we started the New Jersey area in order to make a tri-state region, and currently have 630 members, actually over that as of today. And we're excited because this is really growing very quickly. Lastly, when the pandemic hit, I was inspired to start a new division of Free Enterprise Warriors, which I call Thrivalist, Tactics for Entrepreneurs. And I wrote the Entrepreneur Survival Guide to show other entrepreneurs the way to success. So today's talk is meant to be interactive, so please take out your pen and paper. And we're going to talk about your mission statements. We're going to discuss what is culture and why do you need one and why should you get one? What are your core values and have you even looked at them recently? And lastly, we want to use those core values for growth. I also want you to consider this. This is a little separate, but I started thinking about how this can not just work for your business, but it could actually work for your family, your family's growth. I was on a mastermind call recently, and a gentleman was talking about this for his family. I was really inspired when he used the same process that I'm going to work with you today to work out his family values. So imagine if you left this meeting with a mission and purpose, your core values, and a way to amplify your family's culture so everyone was on the same page. It's just a thought. If that sounds good, are you guys ready to start? And my mantra for this year is let's go. So let's go. So what's a mission statement? Do you know what your business culture is? And do you have about 4 to 5 core values? Let's talk about mission statements first. Mission statements are designed to explain what your organization does. You'll see here the SCORE's mission statement. SCORE's mission is to foster vibrant small business communities through education. Sorry, I'm a little bit in the way. Mentorship and education. I want to show you that words matter. This is the most important thing. Look at Apple's mission. This is pretty incredible. It's to bring the best personal computing products and support to, get this, students, educators, designers, scientists, engineers, business persons, and consumers in over 140 countries around the world. Okay, so let's build you a mission statement. I actually have a hack for finding your mission statement. And if you guys know what a hack is, it's to really how to simplify doing something. It's kind of like Mad Libs. I don't know who remembers Mad Libs, but I do. So it's to blank by blank in order to blank. So let me help you with that. That means to an action. So use an action verb here, to help, to guide, protect, to connect. What is it that you do in your business? What's the action? What's the verb? Who is your target market? Think about this. Who is your best client? Is it everybody? Is it entrepreneurs, single moms, families? I just want to mention something with this, is that if you say it's everybody, somebody, or anybody, that I will think of nobody. So I think if you can distill this down and think of your best client, it's very helpful. By what method? For instance, do you use a vehicle like life insurance to do something? Do you coach? Do you use an accounting process? What's the method or process that you use in your business? And then the end in order to is the end result. And that means that's an outcome. Do you increase business? Do you build brand awareness like Maggie does? There's many, or Rob does. There's many, many different methods and also end results. So I'm just going to give you a minute to think about this while I tell you a story. I'm going to tell you about a story about an auto repair shop that I was working with. I asked the owner to tell me what his mission was. He said to fix cars. And I challenged him because I told him that he had a higher purpose. I felt that he really helped families by getting them back into their daily routines as soon as possible. Ask yourself, what is the pain point that you're fixing? And for him, that would be families getting back into their car, into their regular schedules as soon as possible. Because kids have to go to school and parents have to go to work. So yeah, I believe you're all getting these slides, so you'll be able to work on this a little bit closer if you'd like. Let's talk about culture. Culture is an evolving set of collective beliefs, values, attitudes, and behaviors, or in other words, in your business, it's everything that is done every day by every person. How you answer the phone is a representative of your culture. By the way, just a tip, please make sure your phone number, even if it's your cell phone, has some kind of message, at least telling people who they've reached. This drives me crazy, especially when you're trying to call a business. Your website supports your culture, or even your hiring methods, for example. So why do we need a culture, and why do we need to recognize it? Because there's always a culture. Even if you think you don't have one, you do, and you might not like the one that you have. Even if you're a solopreneur, now's a great time to define it and figure out what it looks like or what you want it to look like. If you're an experienced business person, it's still a really good time to take it out, and you can unpack your culture every day if you'd like to. Drive yourself crazy. If you say you're customer focused, but you're completely sales driven, there's a disconnect. I'm going to tell you the story of the bell. I know a company that said they were small business focused, but they had a bell in their office that they would ring every time they received a big 6-figure account. As you could see, this was a disconnect. Culture impacts your strategic decision making. When you clearly define your culture, you can run all of your strategic decisions through it. When I started the New York and Connecticut Master Networks region, I was walking around Westchester and describing Master Networks as learning-based and community-minded. I didn't have to second guess my business decisions because I used the culture lens as a litmus test. It makes making the right decisions so much faster and so much easier. So how do you develop or redevelop a culture? First, you get clear. Know your mission and your purpose, which we just discussed, and then distill it down to a few ideas, like I did with the learning-based and community-minded mantra that I was walking around Westchester espousing. Here's my secret formula for culture. And that is core values times consistent behaviors equals culture. Okay, so if the core values are the basis for a defined culture, let's take a few minutes to identify and reinforce your current ones. Just take a look at this slide while I'm explaining it. So if your core values are those values that you absolutely will not compromise on, take a look at the list. And by the way, you can Google this list and you can find more extensive and even definitions of them if you'd like afterwards. But if you could take a minute to read this list and write down on your paper ones that you resonate with or you feel fit the ideals that you would not compromise in your business. And if you already have core values, add them to this list and then see if you can make sure that they stand up. So let me give you a minute to read through and to try to identify, let's say, maybe not 4 or 5 at this moment, at least 3. Let me give you a minute. Again, you'll be receiving this deck, I believe, so you'll be able to take this a little bit more in depth later on. I just wanted you to start getting those ideas in your head, things you won't compromise on. So I'm just going to move forward. Now, what do you do with those? All right, let me tell you. You communicate them everywhere. You communicate your core values to everyone, including clients, employees, subcontractors, referral partners, your friends and family. If you're at your grandma's barbecue, try to bring them into conversation. Write them on your website, your letterhead, social media, like what Maggie's going to tell you. Have posters made, make videos. Praise others when core values are being followed and award the behavior. Recognition of people doing the behaviors of that your culture espouses is so incredibly important in your business. This will really make things happen. Okay. Now, going back to the mastermind that I attended, by the way, the speaker was talking about having his family use these core values. And I thought it was so cool because they actually made a family crest and they put it on all their hats and their jackets and all kinds of things. And I just thought that was a really neat idea. Anyway, now that you have your core values and you're getting very clear, guess what's going to happen? You are going to grow. Growth happens. So you will be able to put all of your goals, your strategic business decisions, your hiring, and your qualifying of clients right through this lens. And you can make it a checklist, which is really cool. Like, if one of your core values happens to be ethics, for instance, check that off with all of these particular core values. So again, I just want to say thank you. I want to talk about goals real quick. A business goal is an endpoint, accomplishment, or target of an organization that wants to achieve in the short term or long term. Business goals can take many different forms and be aspiration or motivational, all driving an organization towards a certain objective. You are more likely to reach goals that agree with who you are as a business and your business culture. So I would just like to say thank you. Thank you for your time, your attention. I hope I made you think a little bit. I challenge you to come up and review your core values and help use them to grow your business. And you can connect with me through my website, tinacampbellconnect.com. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your speakers. Thank you so much.
Great job. And now following Tina is Rob. Rob, you're up and on.
Great. Thank you, George. Great talk, Tina. Thank you for kicking it off. Thank you to the whole SCORE crew for inviting us to speak here. And yes, I'm going to be talking on branding. And, branding for me was a change in my company's direction in order to help me gain the ideal client. The ideal client, as everybody might know, is you can get clients, you can get customers, Some are ideal, some are not. Some give you a hard time, some aren't worth the work, depending on your business. So my whole concept was getting more of the ideal clients, because anybody can do anything to make money, but you also want some joy and fulfillment in your life, and you don't want to be dealing with people that could be difficult or not the right fit. And that's what we're really talking about, is the right fit. So keep that in mind as we talk about this. But what is the biggest challenge in business? And, this is kind of the eternal question. What is the challenge we all go through? And the answer is finding clients. But there's kind of a rub here in finding clients, and you go through a series of progressions. When you're finding clients in the beginning, when you start your business, you're looking for the next client, because there's a bit of a fear that you're not well established and that you really need the income, right, to keep the lights on, to pay the bills, in addition to making a profit. So you want to find the next client, the next client. And after you've been in business for a while, you start going, well, I just need more clients, because now, well, the bills are paid and you got a tiny profit and you're still working your butt off, but you want more clients because now you want to create a hefty profit to be able to reinvest in your business and create a lifestyle for yourself, most likely. Then you go into the next phase of, well, now you've got more clients and your revenue is regular and flowing and everything's nice, but you want better clients. Why? Because there are some clients that are just, like I said, they're a pain. They're a pain to deal with. They're demanding. They're indecisive. They don't really know what they want out of their business, or maybe they don't even like their business, but they're just in it to make money, in which case it's very hard to help them. So what do we do to do that? Well, first thing is we help you get over this part, which is selling clients. Now, most people don't like to sell clients. They don't want to go through that process of trying to get another person to give them money in exchange for the product or service. And when I say selling, I mean convincing somebody to buy from you. Because if you sell, you have to continually sell. You have to sell over and over and over again. And you may be very good at it. Some people are great at sales. They're natural salespeople, and they can do it. But it is something you do over and over. It can be a grind after a period of time. And listen to this. Down the road, don't you want to be able to not have to sell, to just have a referral machine of clients who just come to you because they've heard good things? That's what we're going to talk about. So if you've ever heard of Gary Vaynerchuk, owner of VaynerMedia, he started out in YouTube, and he was promoting his father's wine and liquor store. And he was just reviewing wine, became very popular on YouTube, and built his media company, VaynerMedia. And he says this: the greatest companies in the world don't sell, they brand. Because what everybody is really looking for, honestly, at the end of the day, what are we looking for? An endless flow of clients who love you. Why? If they love you, they're going to refer you. They're going to talk to other people about you, sending more people your way. Don't you want brand ambassadors, people out there talking about your business, who will go out and refer you just because they like your message, because they like who you are, because they've heard good things? They want to send people your way. So I want to talk about the power of branding. Branding, first of all, is a long game. In the short term, you may have to sell for a while. I mean, I don't think there's any getting around that, but you shouldn't have to sell forever. When you start branding right from the beginning, after a while, you won't have to pitch. You won't have to compete with anybody. You won't have competition, because a brand, by definition, is differentiation from another organization. And you have your own ideal client who appeals to you. You appeal to them. So the power of branding is a long game. Over time, it should kick in a referral machine over which you can just have people come to you. Like we said, they're attracted to you. And I'm always talking about attracting the ideal client. If you can attract, then you won't have to sell forever. So let's give an example here. What is the deal with branding anyway? Branding, as we know, we pick two very popular brands here. Now, if we have coffee drinkers in the audience out there, I'm sure we do. You might fall into one of these two camps. There are Dunkin' people and there are Starbucks people. I know a guy who will drive past 3 Dunkin' Donuts and 4 mom and pop diners just to get to Starbucks, because he won't drink anything else, and happily pay 23% more for the Starbucks. Why? Because that little logo on there, right? The experience. It's not just a logo, but it's the brand experience. The difference between Dunkin' and Starbucks, honestly, not a heck of a lot if we just talk about coffee. Little different flavor, but by and large, it's coffee. But what's the difference in terms of the brand experience? Because ideally, a brand is the experience you provide to somebody that makes them feel connected to what you're doing. So look at this. On the left, we got Dunkin'. Now, notice what you see there. When you go into the Dunkin' store and you go in, it pretty much looks like this. You walk in, you go up to the counter, you get your coffee, and you get the heck out. That's what they want. Look at Starbucks on the right. Notice the comfortable chairs in the background, the people sitting there hanging out under soft lighting. Notice the chairs at the counter where they can sit in a comfy chair, maybe pick out something to eat with their coffee and hang out. Starbucks looks kind of like somebody's living room. Dunkin' Donuts, look at that. Look at where they want you to sit. They want you to sit on a hard piece of wood at a white hard counter looking at nothing. You know what they're saying? Come in, get your coffee, and go. They want to put you through it. It's a different experience. They both sell coffee, but they both sell different experience. Now, this being as different as they are, does Dunkin' have any shortage of customers? No. Does Starbucks have any shortage of customers? No. How can they compete in the exact same space and still be wildly successful? The answer is in the brand experience, what you provide. They attract a certain customer. Dunkin' don't like Starbucks, and Starbucks doesn't like Dunkin' customers. If you ever watch Shark Tank, Barbara Corcoran, my favorite shark, she wrote a book called Shark Tales, thin book, perfect for me because I'm not that smart. So I like to read small books. She said, no, she built a multi-million-dollar real estate company in Manhattan. She started from nothing, from scratch. She said, they paid me too much money for my business. They paid me for my sales, but then they paid me double for my brand. Branding is everything. They paid her double for the brand. So this gives you an idea of how important branding is, but not just how important, but how valuable it is. So what are we looking at here? We're looking to create super fans. Super fans are those people, like you see at the bottom of this picture here, they're fans, like at a rock concert, they're waving, they're jumping, they're dancing, they're high-fiving each other. They're happy to be there. They're happy to pay the money. They're happy to follow what you're doing, and they're buying what you're selling. That's a super fan. You can have a super fan in your business. People who do the same thing. Maybe they are dancing wherever they are and high-fiving other people because they like your brand so much. It's kind of a mentality that we want to attract them, because when they're super fans, what are they going to do? Again, the most powerful form of advertising is word of mouth, and it's the cheapest because it doesn't really cost anything. So what are we looking at here to do that? Well, first of all, we're going to talk about focus, and there's a paradox of focus. Focus says this, if you just took water, a bucket of water, and you dumped it on a rock, what do you get? You get a wet rock, right? But if you took a stream of water and concentrated it, kind of like a laser, into the rock, you could cut through the rock. There are machines that do that. So you want to focus in your business the same way. You want to have one singular message that connects with a singular audience. You know why? Because if you speak to everybody, and I know, especially if you're starting a business, you want everybody, but you can't have everybody as a client, right? Even Apple can't do that. There's still Android people, right? So they have to split it. But when you focus, what happens is you have a message, the audience hears it, and they go, they're talking my language. They're for me. They get me. And you have to focus that message in order to do it. You got to connect in order to attract. So what do you have to do? Well, first of all, you have to identify who that super fan is. So demographics, those things like, where do they live? What do they make? Are they married? Do they have kids? Those kind of things. What do they, or how much do they earn? Where do they live? Is it urban or suburban? Those are demographics. And then there's psychographics, things like, where do they shop? What do they drive? Some of those things that are more kind of nuanced in their lifestyle, when you identify those, you get a really clear picture of who that super fan is, or ideal client, same thing. When you have a precise picture, the target you want to shoot for. And it's easier because when you identify who they are, you know where they hang out, you know how they talk, you know what they like, you know what they don't like. And when you know those things, you can craft your message in everything you write, say, and record that, again, connects with them and attracts them to you. So they go, they're for me. I alluded to this already. Clarify your message. That's called again, to focus, you want to clarify what it is, a singular message, but make sure it's very clear. Make sure they know exactly what you are selling. Make sure they know exactly what problem you solve. More importantly, I always say, if you want your ideal client to buy from you, know what their pain is, poke the pain, right? Because we make decisions based on emotion, not based on intellect. We always base it on emotion, but we back it up with intellect, right? So we can sound smart. But when you do that and you clarify that message, you poke that pain, you identify that problem, poke it, and then you offer the solution. That's your message. You offer the solution that solves their painful problem. People will only take action when the pain is bad enough. And if you can identify what that pain is, you're further along. Next thing, pound it daily, everywhere. So what is this? I see this a lot. People will say their message, they're asked, they'll talk to their ideal client, and they will change it after a few months. Why? Because you get bored, right? It's something you want to be able to resist. If you get bored and you change it, what you're doing is you're going to go onto a different message. And as we know, it takes a while to get traction in anything. That's why advertising is done over time in a repetitive fashion. Because if advertising was one exposure and it went in and you got the message, then you wouldn't see the same ad more than once. But that's not true, right? We see and hear the same ad over and over and over again on a daily basis. Have you ever listened to Pandora and you keep hearing the same ad over and over again? After a while, you start to mouth it, right? So this is why you, with your message, everywhere you go, in your networking, in your social media, your in-person events, make sure you're saying the same message, because consistently over time, that message will become embedded in your audience's mind. And here's the thing, here's why this is important. You've always heard you can't time the stock market. And it's true, you can't. Nobody knows what it's going to do. Even the pros try and figure it out and they still can't do it. So what do? Well, in terms of your business, how do you get somebody to buy from you? How do you get them to purchase? Well, we talked about selling, but we don't want to do that now. We're talking about branding. We're talking about your message. We're saying this. If you want somebody to buy from you, you just have to be at the top of their mind when they decide to buy. Well, easier said than done. So when is that? So tell me this, think in your mind. How do you know when your customer is ready to buy? They're in the buying mode, whether from you or a competitor. How do you know when they're going to buy? You don't. You just have to be in their mind when they do. So here's the trick. Branding is about influencing people's behaviors for the positive, right? We want to provide a solution to a problem. That's what businesses do. So how do you be there in their mind at the moment they make a decision? Everywhere you go, everything you write, say, and record, you have the same message. You have the same design. That's color, typeface, logo, everything's the same. Everywhere you go, everything you wear is going to reflect the brand in a consistent manner, because every exposure from social media, from networking, your message, to seeing an ad, to hearing something on a podcast, every exposure to that message ought to be consistent. Why? Because that reinforcement over time gets you burned in their brains. So when they're lying in bed at 10:30 at night and they're going, you know what? I need to do it. I just need to pull the trigger. I need to make that purchase. They go, I'm going to call so-and-so, right? Are you so-and-so? Are you in their mind? Are you going to be the choice at the moment they make a decision in the quiet of their mind late at night? That's what branding does. So just to leave you with this, branding does something even more than just bring you business. It helps you do something that a lot of companies waste time doing. That's trying to go head to head with competition. And if you're starting business and if you've got local competition, don't get caught up in this trap. See, when you build a brand, you don't have to go head to head with your competition. You know, what's the biggest insult to somebody? They don't matter. You ignore them. You pay them no mind. They're irrelevant. So when you build your brand, you actually make your competition irrelevant, because people will choose you over them based on the connection you make with the audience. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you some free stuff. This is, this is just because you registered, you're with SCORE. This is for you guys. I want to give you something that's going to help you execute on what I talked about. So we're going to talk about, you're going to get this exclusive persona zone client identifier, help you identify who your super fan is. This is so valuable to get that picture. The framework for a killer soundbite. A soundbite is your 30-second intro. What you say to get somebody interested, so they say one thing, hey, we need to talk more. That's what a soundbite does for people. It helps you stick in their minds. And the last thing, steps on how to focus your message, because again, that was key, was focusing that message so you could really connect with people to attract more of those super fans. So I want you to write this right down right now. Get it right now. unleashmybeastbrand.com/gift. There's no strings attached. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to hire me at all. unleashmybeastbrand.com/gift. Use those tools, and I promise you, if you use them right and use them effectively and use them consistently, you will be able to attract business to you. Thank you all.
That was great. Thank you very much, Rob. Let me just interject one thing before we move on to Maggie Carey. There have been an innumerable number of queries on chat about getting copies of these presentations. Everybody that registered for this webinar, including all those who are watching right now, will get a copy of the recording, which will include the contact information for the presenters and the SCORE officers, as well as the content. So don't worry about it. It will come, and it will be sent to the address that you registered under, or the email address that you registered under. So again, it will be coming. Sorry to interrupt. Let me turn it back over to Maggie Carey. Maggie, you're up. Thank you much. Maggie, no sound.
You're muted, Maggie.
Oh my gosh.
There
I
you
can't
go.
even tell you. Muting on, this is the mantra of COVID-19. You are muted. Okay, sorry about that, everyone. My name is Maggie Carey. I'm a social media strategist. I just wanted to say thank you to George, because George and SCORE has helped me in the beginning. I had multiple businesses before I created Master It Media. Rob and Tina were integral in building this new company that I had over 4 years ago. And what happens with your business when you start to get laser focused, like Rob said, and you lay the foundation and the groundwork, like Tina has said, you build everything. You build on top of it is solid and continues to grow. So all of these people that you're surrounded with help you with your business. Reach out to SCORE. They're an amazing asset to my business and continue to be so, as well as Rob and Tina and Master Networks. So here we talk about social media, and I'm talking about amplifying your brand on social, because like Rob said, when your brand is solid, you make your competition irrelevant. This is where you take your social media to the next level. You amplify your brand because you're giving of who you are, what you do, and why you do it to your followers on social media. But I have a question for you. I want you to tell me, use the chat. What is your biggest challenge when it comes to social media? Some people say it's the time. Some people say it's the knowledge. I don't know how to use the platform. I don't know what to say, coming up with content. So I want to see if you start putting in where your challenges are. We've got consistency. I'm an introvert. Great. Lead gen and conversion, definitely time, right? These are things, your ideal client may not be on the type of social media. Wonderful. These are great. I want you to continue to type in those challenges that you're coming into. It will help me as I go through the presentation to answer your questions directly. So when you're looking at your social media, what we want to do is to step it up. You want to step up your social media presence. And I'm going to give you these steps to get your social media solid, to take your mission and your vision, to take your brand and amplify it on your social media. And we do these by these 6 steps to get you going. Now, this looks overwhelming, doesn't it? Right? You've got all these social media platforms. Look at all you're doing. This is why I'm so happy that SCORE is sending you these slides. The first step is figuring out what social media platform that you're going to sit on. Now, some of you may be on multiple platforms. You may be on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter and YouTube and TikTok and all of the socials, right? It's overwhelming to maintain it if you're a solopreneur. So my suggestion is, when you have a moment, take a look at this and determine where. Now, somebody had mentioned how, where's my ideal audience, right? This is going to help you with that. So look at the social media platforms. My suggestion that I give to all of my clients is, pick 1 or 2 that you are going to kill it on. 1 or 2 platforms where you're going to be involved and engaged and posting great content, and engage in that platform, be present on that platform, but secure your brand on every single platform. So create a Twitter account, even though Twitter maybe, we don't know what's happening with Twitter. Twitter's like Cher. Sometimes we don't see her for decades and other times she's at the top of the chart. That is Twitter. So now with Elon Musk possibly buying it, we don't know what's going on. So, but secure your brand. Like across all of these platforms, I have @MasterItMedia. I was very fortunate. It was one of the things when I looked at my business name that I wanted to make sure my business name was available across all platforms. But if it can't be, if it's not available, then get it as close as you can. Secure your name on all platforms. Now, touch points is the T in Step Up, okay? This is your profile. Make sure that you've completely filled out your profile on all of the platforms that you have an account on. Make sure you have all your contact information, because sometimes that's where people go to find out more about you. So you want to take that, maybe that mission and vision and those things that Tina was talking about, your core values and your consistent behavior. And Rob's talking about your brand and what you say and those words that you use in your profile. Make those words mean something to the people you're writing to. It's not about really as much as who you are, but remember those pain points that you're solving for your people. Now, in your profile, you want to include things, depending on the platform, right? There's going to be names. There's your name, obviously, right? There's going to be your profile photo or a banner photo. A description. When you write your description, look at the keywords that people are going to search for. So like with mine, I always include social media, but every once in a while, I'm going to include a pain point, like, something along the lines of, hey, I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't have energy. What is the pain point that your person is struggling with, so that you can include that in your description, because that might be a keyword that they're searching for. Now, the bio tells them a little bit about who you are, but think of it again. Think of it from your client's perspective. It's more about not as much of who you are, but what problems you solve, right? And your contact information. I can't tell you how many times I go to a social media account, especially like LinkedIn, Instagram, where you cannot have a link in your post for the most part. Things are starting to change, but keep in mind, you need that link up there. So have the links. Some people use something like Linktree, which is free, and you can have a whole bunch of other links there. So if there's more than one thing you want to link them to, you can use a tool like that. Now, here's where we talk about branding a bit and amplifying that. You have to explain who you are and use your brand as your guiding light. So when you're looking at your posts and you think about what you're saying, does it resonate with your core values? Does it resonate with your brand? Is this really who you are? So the person who was talking about coffee earlier, what sets her apart from the Starbucks and the Dunkins out there? And how are her clients, how are her customers different from other brands, right? Like, how are they different? Why would they come to her over somebody else? And then leverage that in your content. Now, this was something I think Chris had shared in the chat, consistency, right? When you post, you need to be consistent, you need to be authentic, and your content has to be branded. I know I get a little overkill on the purple, and you can blame Rob for that because he's the one who said you got to be purple all the time, right? This, I did take it a little bit to the extreme, I will admit that. But when you're looking at my posts, they all have a similar look and feel, using similar fonts, using those, right? That's not just consistently posting, but the posts themselves need to be consistent, have a similar look and feel, not identical, but when somebody sees one of your posts, you want them to know that's you, that's your business, right? So look at it as content. You're playing two different audiences. Your new clients, so this is going to be, the content is going to be a conduit, right? It's going to draw them in, right? But it's also a generator for your existing one. It's keeping, remember how Rob said, you know, eventually they're going to think of you. Are they going to think of your business? Well, that's why your social media needs to be there, consistently putting out content that's of value to your people so that they remember, oh, you know what? I need a branding guy, I'm going to call Rob. Or I need to build my network, I'm going to call Tina. Or I really need help building the foundation of my business and I'm struggling with something, I'm going to call SCORE, right? You want to be that resource for them. Now, this was another, and I'm so glad my slides are matching where your pain points are, right? This is understanding your audience. You have to look beyond the demographics. When I ask people about, so who's your target audience? The first thing I usually get is, well, they're women between the ages of this that live in this area. That's all important, but it's not everything. It's just one small piece. And when you look at that slide that has all of those platforms on them, they each hit a different demographic. But it's also how they use the platform, and it's how the platform engages with them. We had somebody who asked a question about TikTok, right? Now, TikTok is you're not going to go there if you're in senior housing, right? But you are going to go there if you cater to high school students, right? Like, so it depends, that depends. So you need to understand where your audience is, those demographics, but also know what their challenges are. Why did I ask you what's your challenge with social media? So I can understand where your pain points are and I can help you better, right? Like I can gauge where my clients are struggling. And here's the last piece that I very rarely hear people talk about. What is the desire? Like when Tina talked about the car dealership, the car repair shop, auto repair shop. And she said, well, they fix cars. But she said, no, they want to get your family safely back on the road, right? That's the desire. The desire is where you want to be. So when I ask people, okay, so what do you need from your social media? Usually the first thing they say is, I need sales, I need more clients. I said, go deeper, right? Don't you want to help your audience? Don't you want to help your people do something? That's why you got into business, right? So look at these 4 steps in understanding your audience a bit differently. And finally, this is the piece where most businesses struggle because matches up with the time element. It's so time consuming for people to create their content. It's time consuming for them to figure out what to post. It's time consuming for them to post. But if you miss this step, if you miss the participate step, this is where you are going to fall short on your social media goals. When you participate, you need to be active on the platform. You need to be communicating. Remember, social media, the first word in that is social, right? This is a way to take your communication skills and move them to a digital platform. You need to engage and you need to interact. And in the platform rewards you not just for posting and putting information up, but when you're communicating in different ways. So I'm often asked, what's the best way to communicate on social media? So I created this short list for you. And there are benefits to this. When you reply to comments, okay, when you schedule a post, so say you scheduled a post for 10 o'clock this morning, were you on that platform at 10 o'clock this morning or a little after, so that if somebody replied back, you could engage on that? Do you have those notifications going on? Because people expect an immediate response. So within the first hour that your social media post is sent out, is when you're going to see the most engagement. If you look at your analytics, that's kind of where it is. So remember, when somebody comments, make sure you reply back. It's wonderful. I often say this to people. It's like, I go up to you in person and we're like, hey, hi, how you doing, Rob? Good, nice to see you. And then Rob says, hey, Maggie, great to see you. And then I turn and walk away. Like, that's what you're doing if somebody replies to your comment on social. And we don't think of it that way, right? Because we don't. But think about you when you post on your social. Don't you want somebody to reply back to you, right? You want them to at least like what you said, right? But when you reply to a comment, think about replying with a question. Because what happens is if you reply with a question, they're going to answer you, your engagement is going to go up, right? So that's a great way to kind of build your engagement on social media and make people care. Commenting on other people's posts. So have a group of people that you love to follow their content. You could be strategic about this. Maybe it's people who have your target audience in their target audience. Like for me, a business coach would be a great person to have. SCORE would be a great place for me to comment on a post that they make, right? Because they have my target audience sitting right in their follower base. So when I comment on their post, I'm giving them value. Like I'm going to post something that's that shows that I'm supportive of what they're saying, and I'm providing some valuable insight. When I do that, their engagement goes up. So they're really happy that I commented on their post. But guess what? My name shows up. My account shows up. So if somebody reads my comment and says, wow, this Maggie from Master at Media, I really liked what she said. Let me check out what she does. They're going to click on me and hopefully become one of my followers. The other piece, leave reviews. You can go to Google My Business and leave a review. You can leave recommendations on LinkedIn, on Facebook. All of these things, you're supporting local business. Do this out of the, to somebody who you really feel you want to leave a review. Don't just leave random reviews, like it, and be valuable with what you say. And then you can always ask that person, hey, I left you a review. I know you've used my business too. I'd really appreciate it if you could leave me a review as well. So now you can share other people's content. Say you read a great article, or you go to SCORE has this new workshop that they're going to be teaching. You can take that and share it on your socials and make a comment. And that will also get you a little bit more engagement, right? It helps them, it helps you. People are happy that you notified them. And then in addition, the last piece would be a direct message. Take a public conversation especially if you have a business, like we work with hair restoration clients. We work with people who don't necessarily want to have a public forum. So what they do is they move it into the direct message, into the DMs, and they communicate with them on a personal level. These are ways that you can really amp up your social in this one step. So like Rob, I also provide a free giveaway to people who have attended the workshop. So please feel free to reach out to me. This is my contact information. If you sign up for a quick audit, it's a one-on-one with me personally for a half an hour. And I will help you look at initially at your social, and I can give you some tips and tricks on how to amp up your social presence. We'll pick one platform and we'll work on that one platform together. And I'll give you a whole bunch of advice on how you can really take your social to the next level and give you a quick audit on how to improve your social media presence. And that opens us up to our questions. So I'm going to pass this over to George.
Okay. Excuse me. Thank you all to our panelists. It was a great presentation. I think very well received based on the comments that I see on chat and everything. Great job. We don't have a lot of time, but let me see if we can get through some of the questions. And they're not quite sure who to direct them to best. I think the first one might be best directed to Maggie, which is from Adam Dara. What are your best strategies for using TikTok?
We could have a whole seminar just on that, George.
I just figured I'd start with a simple question and then we go to the hard ones.
Yeah, I'm going to be really honest. TikTok is insanely popular right now. Being on that platform is great. I myself am a little weak there because it is not really my demographic, and it's not really a place you sell, right? It's a place you provide information. My thing is be active, record the videos. They are going up to 90-second videos now, but we're also hearing that 15 seconds is the sweet spot. So maybe a 15-second video posted consistently with a trending song. How does that sound?
Well, thank you. That's a great 1-minute answer to a 3-hour question.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Well, I'll give you another challenge since this seems to be right up your alley. Jamie G says, I don't know which platform is most effective.
And it depends on your audience. Sign up for that social media, a quick audit, and we'll figure it out for you. Look, Facebook is the most popular, right? But Instagram is gaining traction. TikTok is the fastest growing. LinkedIn, if you're a B2B, LinkedIn should be your jam, right? So each of them has their own flavor.
Good. We have 1 or 2 more questions that were in the just the transcript space, and I'll just say once again, the transcript recording of this webinar will be sent to everybody in their email accounts. And I have an attendee who said, how do I access the transcript? Now that it comes with a replay, how do I have access to it? I'm not tech savvy. And the answer would be, it will come as an attachment, I believe, to an email. And I believe all you would have to do would be to click on the attachment to bring it up live. If anybody would like to add to that, please do.
That is correct, George. That's right. It should actually the transcript, the closed captioning and the recording should automatically turn on. If it doesn't, there's a button to click that says closed captioning. It should be the CC, you can click that. And you can also just download the transcript on its own as well.
Okay, thank you very much. There are some comments about TikTok and things which I won't go into. What do you recommend for a private piano teacher for serious students, remote learning online and fun, but with high goals? And I don't know if that's answerable in the about minute that we have left, or maybe we suggest that that question be directed to our panelists directly at their at their contact points, which you'll be receiving in the transcript. But anybody want to take a quick shot at it? No, okay, so we'll do that. I would suggest just take that same question, or I'll send the question to our panelists and see if we can get your response on it. That would be to Jamie G. And that kind of wraps up the Q&As. And what is most rewarding, which I will all the panelists will see, but the comments from our audience are, wonderful things like excellent presentations, informative and concise. Thank you, great collaborative effort. And thank you, Peggy, and target audience, a serious students with high, and it just goes on, very well. So I thank you all very much for attending. It's been a absolutely wonderful presentation. Thank you to our presenters. Thank you, Raquel, for keeping us on track and for getting all the slides up on the screen in the sequence that they're supposed to be in. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Let me go to, we have one or two more slides. If I can get rid of my box here. Just a heads up, we're going to have a next month's webinar on July 27th, video trends in social media. You'll be getting information and announcements about them. Just keep an eye on your inbox because we hope to continue this great quality presentations. Next slide is thank you. And one more, we most appreciate our corporate sponsor. Do we have one more slide, Matt? Yeah, the SBA, for whom we are a resource partner and who helps us financially and directionally, and to whom we provide support in terms of being a resource that you can go to if you can't get through to the SBA. So once again, I thank you all very much and have a wonderful day. Goodbye, everybody. Raquel, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thank you so much.